So, you know what's strange? Right now, the biggest clubs on the planet are fighting over a 19-year-old. Liverpool have offered 100 million euros. His club turned it down and asked for 130. If that deal happens, he becomes one of the most expensive teenagers in the history of football. And 18 months ago, this kid had never played a single professional game. His name is Diomande. And if you've watched this World Cup, you already know the name because he's been impossible to ignore. On his tournament debut, a 19-year-old ran an Arsenal defender into the ground, created more chances than anyone else on the match day, and walked off with the Man of the Match award. A few days later, against Germany, he did it again. He's already sitting just behind a record held by Lionel Messi for dribbles completed as a teenager at a World Cup. But this isn't a story about talent. Talent is the easy part. This is a story about a promise he made to someone who isn't here to see any of it. Let me take you back. Abidjan, Ivory Coast. 25 people sleeping under one roof. That's not an exaggeration. That's a number he uses himself. A house so full that, as a little boy, he'd pretend to fall asleep, then sneak into the TV room after midnight, turn the volume down to almost nothing, and watch football in the dark. Just him and the dream. The adults in the neighborhood nicknamed him Roberto Carlos because of how hard he could strike a ball. And it secretly annoyed him because his idol was Cristiano Ronaldo. He didn't have money for a real shirt, so when someone gave him a fake one, he took a black marker and wrote Ronaldo 7 on the back himself. At 9 years old, he left home to join an academy near the Ghanaian border. A little boy, completely on his own. He said that he and the other kids there were so hungry they'd sneak into the village to steal potatoes just to eat. That's where the story begins. Not with scouts, not with academies in Europe, with a hungry kid in the dirt who refused to stop dreaming. And through all of it, one person believed in him more than anyone. His younger sister, Roxane. While everyone else treated football as a fantasy, Roxane treated it as a fact. She'd tell his friends in the neighborhood to keep training. She was 10 years old, already acting like his agent. She told everyone, that her brother was going to be better than Cristiano. When the adults laughed, she didn't. She just believed. The two of them would sit and dream together about moving to Europe, about an apartment, about a life where the family never had to worry about money again. She was the one who never stopped believing, even when there was almost no reason to, and the road gave her every reason to stop. At 15, Yan left Africa entirely and moved to the United States, Florida, to chase the game. Months of not understanding a single word around him. A French classmate would sit next to him and translate what the teacher said. From there, the trials began. Bournemouth, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Rangers, Olympiacos. One by one, every single one of them said no. In his own words, they kept taking him all around Europe, and everybody kept saying no. His visa ran out. They sent him back to Africa. And he and his sister cried together because it looked like the dream was finally over. A few weeks later, a small Spanish club called Leganés took a chance on him, and he says they cried again. Different tears this time. He finally had his shot. And here's the part that tells you everything about who he is. At Leganés, every euro he earned, he sent home. He didn't get himself an apartment. He lived at the training ground in a room with no television. Football and sleep. Football and sleep. He said he didn't even want to be rich. He'd seen what money does to people, even to family. He just wanted to prove to the whole world that his sister was right. Then came the moment they dreamed about since they were kids. At 18 years old, Diomande made his professional debut against Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world. After that game, he swapped shirts with Kylian Mbappe, one of his idols. Everything they'd whispered about in that crowded house in Abidjan was impossibly starting to come true. It should have been the happiest moment of his life. And then the phone started ringing, over and over, from home. At first he was annoyed. He didn't understand why people kept calling. When he finally answered, there was no soft way in, no gentle explanation. His sister was gone. Roxane had been at a party. According to what he was told, something had been put in her drink, and she never woke up. She was 15 years old. The person who believed in him before anyone else, who told the whole world he'd be greater than Ronaldo before he even had real boots, never got to see it happen. He's written about it since, in an open letter to her, and the words are almost unbearable. Since you died, I'm just blank. He says the football pitch is the one place he feels close to her now, the one place he can still talk to her. Everything I do on a football pitch, and he wrote, it's for you. So when you watch him at this World Cup, when you see a 19-year-old leave defenders for dead and create chance after chance on the biggest stage in sport, understand what you're actually looking at. He doesn't see it as a game. He said it himself. He sees it as a stage, a chance to show the whole world what she saw in him long before anyone else did. Which brings us back to where we started, the €100 million bids. The 130 million asking price. Liverpool circling, looking for the next Salah. The whole machine of modern football descending on a teenager from Abidjan. And here's the strange, beautiful contradiction at the center of it all. The thing the transfer headlines completely miss. He doesn't care about the money. This is a young man who, on the brink of becoming one of the most expensive teenagers alive, has already told us that wealth was never the point. He lived in a room with no TV when he could have had more. He's seen what chasing money does. What drives him isn't 130 million. It's a promise to a 15-year-old girl who isn't here. In his letter, he made that promise plain. He said that every time he scores, he'll make sure everyone knows her name. That he'll make sure they never forget her. You always said I could be better than Cristiano, he wrote. I'm going to do what you predicted, I swear. I will prove that you were right, or I will die trying. So go ahead. Call him the next Salah. Call him a €130 million winger. Put him on every transfer ticker in Europe. But the kid who used to watch football in the dark, who wrote Ronaldo's name on a fake shirt because he couldn't afford a real one, he's not playing for any of that. He's playing for Roxane. And if you ask me whether he's going to make it, whether he'll prove all of them right, the scouts, the doubters, and most of all, his sister, I wouldn't bet against him because he's not chasing a career. He's keeping a promise.